wherever they may be. Let's see. Very simple, not flashy. Welcome everyone. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day, night, morning, evening, afternoon, whatever you are having. I hope you're having a fantastic one. Welcome to a brand new thing.
Series?
Yeah, I guess series. Topic. Brand new topic.
Topic.
Yeah, so normally,
Discussion.
we play video games. We play a lot of video games. We have a great time doing it. For those of you who are unaware, I've had a goal for years, decades, to make a game. A video game myself. This goes way back. And that will become quickly apparent as we get into this. Now, actually all of the game developers I've watched over the years, as far as YouTube, I've never watched them on Twitch, so that might be different. But on YouTube, they start, in my opinion, in the wrong place. So they jump into, we're going to use this engine and we're going to do this and that and that and this. So since this is the first episode of me making a video game, and the purpose of this series or this topic is for me to finally finish making a video game. So that's the goal, is by the end of this, video game will be finished and it will be released for free. And the reason for that will become quickly evident. So I've started where I think most people will start, which is I have done a little bit of research, and this is actually a tool. The tool you're looking at here is a program called Obsidian, which is basically a mind map / can do other things application. And this is something I've never used before. And I started here on purpose. A lot of people, if they're going to make a game or video game or anything of the sort, they are often going to start using tools that they have never used before in their lives. So I'm going to be doing that to some extent, largely just to go through the learning process. And that is intentional. I will make a lot of mistakes because don't know the tool. And there are some tools that I will be using that I have used for years. That is on purpose, just to speed things up a little bit, especially in the art. So when we get to the art, building or creating art assets, I will use tools that I'm very familiar with, because learning those tools itself takes years. Developing this video game is going to take long enough as it is. I don't want to add to it. But yeah, so this screen you're looking at is Obsidian, and we're just going to start. So this is my Twitch. Or you could say, no, my Kong. Video game creation. Day 1. Okay, so we're going to start where you should be starting when you're making a video game. and that is motivation. What is your motivation?
There's motivation.
There is motivation. For many people, the motivation is going to be to make money. I would actually go so far as to say that for most people, the motivation is going to be to make money.
I guess yours would technically be passion.
Yeah.
You've always wanted.
Yep. So mine is two things. Mine is passion and the desire to play the video game. So, are you able to read those? Read that okay? I might need to investigate if I can even.
No, I can't read anything because I'm still looking at a start screen. Curtains.
You're looking at a start screen. Curtains.
I'm looking at curtains.
That's strange. The stream is up. I can see the stream.
I'm part of the stream, but I can see the two curtains and that's about it.
Scroll down.
I don't think that's gonna fix that.
Because yeah. So I can see the stream. It's very stream-like. Let's see. Appearance. Let's try and make it a little bit easier for everyone at home to see. Can we see that easier? Oh, that doesn't change. Oh, it changed, of course, but you might need to restart your, yeah. Let's try.
There we go.
Did you restart?
I refreshed the page.
There you go. So, can you read the part down at the bottom?
No, because there's an ad.
Oh.
I'll tell you in a moment.
You will tell me in a moment. File name cannot contain special characters.
Yeah, I can read things.
Very nice. Okay. So, apologies for that. Anyway, motivation. Yes, so mine is passion and the desire to play the video game. My motivation is not monetary, so this video game will be released for free. Free on Android and desktop. Steam. When finished. So that's the intro. So we're going to spend most of the time here during the process in the development and the design phase. We want to make sure that we have the design kind of nailed down. One thing that a lot of people will do is they will, what is my inspiration? What have I seen or done, or what have I, in my mind, what do I have? What have I seen or experienced, or what can I imagine that I want this to look like? So let's change this a little bit. Day one. We're going to say A. Perfect. So that will be our naming convention. That way we know what day we're on and what topic we're on. So for me, there are several video games that I have enjoyed over the years that I would like to take bits and pieces from inspiration. So the first one is a common C64 video game called Mail Order Monster. It's a very old game. Let's see, am I able to do something like this? Perfect. This is perfect. So let me, right now I'm just grabbing some screenshots so that everyone, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to paste these in here.
You're hoping?
Well, new tool. So, yeah. And it works. Perfect. So this, yeah. So this is the very first time I played a video game where you could modify stats for creatures. So just like the game or the name suggests, you would get creatures, you would modify them with different things, and you would go and conquer the universe or conquer the planet. Very simple game, very enjoyable. Another one, Trade Wars 2002. Desktop. So this is a space, so Trade Wars 2002 is a space-based game, kind of.
Kinda?
Well, it is definitely space, but
Yes, everything is technically in space.
yes. This is a little bit different than what you might be thinking. Or maybe a lot different. So this game didn't really have graphics. It was ANSI or ASCII, depending on the era. So it was mostly a text-based game. The premise was you were a space trader or a space pirate. A lot of other video games would do something of this nature. But something that Trade Wars did was when you started a new instance, it would randomize a map where you could travel to.
Generated?
Yeah, well, pseudo-random generation. But yes, it was procedurally generated. So at the time, of course, this was amazing. So, yeah. Another one which you can play. So these first two, you're probably not going to be able to play. You might be able to go find some emulators or, I mean, given that the internet is the internet, I'm 100% sure you can eventually find those two games and play them. in some fashion. But you're probably not going to be able to do anything beyond that. This next game that is going to serve as a point of inspiration is, it's known by two names. The first name is Star Control 2, but the publishers and the developers had a bit of a falling out, we'll say. They parted ways. So then the game was, oh, one moment. The game was released by the developers for free as Urquan Masters. Now, this one we're going to get a lot of inspiration from. So, Urquan Masters. And you can play this game today. It's a free game. Urquan Masters is free. You can just go download it. Oops. And you can play it. So this is also another space-based game. But the world or the galaxy or universe in Urquan Masters is not procedurally generated. It's always the same. But it's huge. It's a huge map. Huge. For the time, it was mind-bogglingly large. I do highly recommend that everyone play this game. You can either go by Star Control 2 if you would like, or you can just go download Urquan Masters and play that. So our target, that's okay. So this is our inspiration. We're also going to be pulling inspiration from other games, a little bit here, a little bit there, but these are the main parts of the inspiration. Let's see. Yep, perfect. Okay, so next we're going to have 01B. And this is where we start to get into platform. So initially, the video game, as mentioned already, it's going to go on Android, and desktop. So specifically not Apple. So this is going to be Windows and Linux probably would be so this will be Windows, Linux will be my targets. And then we need to start getting into design. So this is the wish list. So these are elements or things that I want in the game. I'm also going to do my roadmap here. We'll do the roadmap next. So let's just get the wish list out of the way. So wish list. So simple top down game. Now simple does not mean boring. So what mechanics do I want in here? We want space trading. We want space piracy. We want worlds that can be visited. We want spaceports. that can be visited. We want variety of ships. Variety of
Customization.
No. I think you're talking about changing the ships, and we'll get to that. But
No,
what?
I mean like avatar customization.
Right, we can get to that. But right now, I'm thinking of celestial objects, customization of avatar, customization of ships. We want breeding. We want research. We want some AI, I don't want to put some believable, some semi-decent AI. Investigate. Yeah,
What do you think? You want to put an entire AI in and say, okay, let's do this?
Won't fit on the target devices.
Probably not.
But we can use AIML, which is Artificial Intelligence Markup Language. It's very old, but it does work.
And that's all what we're after, right?
It is what we're after. We want some procedural generation. We want the procedural generation because I want to play this game. If I have designed the entire thing from start to finish, it's not going to be fun for me. I will know what happens from here to here to here to here to here. So yeah, we want some procedural generation. We're going to, I think we'll stop here for the wish list, and then let's start getting into.
One more thing for the wish list.
Sure.
Fae.
We can, so that could go under customization of avatars.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, we could do. Yeah, so Fae don't really fit into a sci-fi
Nope.
environment.
That's why I wasn't putting it part of the other one. I was putting it part of the wish.
Wow, I see. But it's space-based.
I am still following logic, kind of.
Not really, but okay.
Not with the general theme, no.
I want lots of procedural generation, actually. Yep, we want prefixes and suffix for items, material, and creatures. We want to put in some level of actual real world knowledge, some level of education. So things like the habitable zone for a planet. We want things like real types of stars, things like that. Okay, so let's go to 1D. 1D. This is the milestones. So at At 25, well, at 50%, should have the ability to move an avatar around the game space. So at 25%, so at 50%, we have the ability to move an avatar around a game space. At 25%, we should have, so not percent, we'll say version
0.0.
It would be 0.25. Version point 0. Yep. So avatar created, basic sprites created, game engine decided. And actually, all of these should be one decimal place over. Yep. Basic elements complete. So, yeah. So the tools I'm going to be using, I will use this Obsidian thing for design documents. I'm going to be using GIMP for asset creation. So this is for the sprite creation of sprites. So GIMP is a image generation
Tool.
Image generation. We will also be using Stable Diffusion, which is AI generation of images. I have Stable Diffusion running local here. Right now I'm running version 1.5. Version 3 was just announced this past week, so I might be moving up to that.
Might.
Well, it depends on timeline, right? So I have, the 1.5 running perfectly on this machine. If they release 3 in the next few weeks or months, and I'm able to get it working without too much fuss, then perfect. We will use that. What else? So Obsidian is for documents. GIMP is for image generation, sprites. Stable Diffusion is also for sprites. I don't know the engine that we will be using for the code yet. So it's either going to be Unreal or it's going to be Godot. It will probably be Godot. Actually, let me just put that stake in the ground now. So we will use Godot for the video game engine. So that there. So those will be the tools. So before we get to Godot, that will be the last part. So we're going to start with documents. So we're going to start working on design. After the design is finished, normally, so in a larger or in a group, if you're doing this not by yourself, you're going to have one group of people that do the design, and they're going to be working typically for weeks or months or years before anybody else does anything. Then the next piece of the puzzle you'll bring in are conceptual artists. So you'll bring in a very small team. So you're going to be doing concept art. You're going to be doing what are called storyboards, just to get kind of an idea of what's going on. And then at the very end, you will bring in your developers. So that's typically how a large studio or even a small studio will work, because the most expensive people are typically your programmers. So that will be the end part. By the time you get to making code, you need to have everything else finished almost. You need to know what the game, how it's going to be expected to behave. Your art assets are all going to be there already. That is not to say that you can't, bring in a developer and say, what do you think of this or that? But in the design process, you're going to do it this way. Most of your time is going to be in design. I would say 65% of your time should be in design to make sure that you have we have to talk about design. Let's talk about design. So when I say design, I am not talking about designing every single thing. So in this game, we're going to have lots of spaceships. We're going to have asteroids and minor planets and major, like gas giants. We're going to have lots of things. We're going to not spend too much time on things like individual item creation. So you can think of the design itself as a house.
Milestone.
A what?
A milestone.
No, I'm talking about. So a lot of people will get lost in the design of a video game, and they never finish the game, and they never finish the design because they get stuck there, because they lose themselves in designing the individual things. So when you design a game or a program or anything really, so think of building a house. You build the frame around the house. You don't run in and start putting your furniture inside the house before it's finished. So we're not going to spend time in this part doing things like what type of weapons. So we'll say in the design phase, we want to identify weapon types. We want to identify damage types. We want to identify what the attributes are for weapon systems. Things like range, type, special effects, things like that. But we're not spending time, or maybe a little bit of time, but not too much time in actually saying, okay, laser cannon, version 2, etc., etc., etc. We don't want to get lost in the minutia. So the purpose of a design is just that. So we're trying to make the overall design of the game. We want to know, when it comes time to programming, what attributes do we need to create or track or otherwise interact with. We should also have an area for flavor text. That actually reminds me. We will also be using some Gen AI. This is also known as generative. But we will not be using, so the ones that you are probably familiar with are ChatGPT or Gemini. So we will not be using these. We will be using a local LLM. LLM stands for Large Language Model. Large Language Model. We will be using a local one, probably a version of Llama 2 would be my guess. For those of you who don't have the ability to run a large language model local, you can certainly use ChatGPT. There's nothing wrong with it. I just prefer to do everything local on my machine here. It is a personal preference of mine. So these are the tools. Actually, we should move these to their own thing. 01E tools. Tools. Okay, so I think that this is perfect here. So the tool, the generative or Gen AI, we can use this for things like flavor text. We can also use this for if we get stuck programming, because we will be using Godot. Godot does not use the coding language that I am most familiar with, which is JavaScript and Java. I do know a little bit of Python, which Godot uses a version of that. So I will need to learn that. It also, if I knew C++ or C#, I think it's C++, one of the C derivatives. It also uses that, but I don't know that. So, so I will be learning a new language. So that'll be exciting. I will probably need some help from a generative AI from time to time to get things sorted. But that's in the future a bit. For now, let's talk about design. Yeah. So let's see here. 01F. And this is design start. Okay, so my is game design start. Okay, so the different things we're going to want to do. So we're going to need, there's a wish list item that I wanted to do. Wish list. Local multiplayer. Via live 5 or Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. That is a wish list item for up to 8 players. Other things that we want are different behaviors, personalities. Sure. Yep, so we can do some procedural. Oh, did I have this? So turn-based. It's going to be on a phone, it should be turn-based. Okay, so at the start of the game, we're going to use inspiration from Ultima 4, Quest of the Avatar, I believe. Ultima 4. Yep, Quest of the Avatar. Yep. Okay, so Quest of the... so let me put this. So at the beginning, so I'm going to put here Ultima 4 Quest of the Avatar. So at the beginning of Ultima 4, when you start the game, you go to a fair, and it's like a standard country fair. You've got jugglers, you've got people in covered wagons selling stuff. It's supposed to look like a band of gypsies that are, just entertaining people while they go. And in the game, you go to the mystic Madame, right? And she asks you different questions. So you answer the questions, and based on the answers you give, that is the type of person, the class, and everything else that you have when you start. So I want to do something like that in this game. It's not going to be fantasy themed like Quest of the Avatar is. It's going to be more sci-y. Science-y. We'll say science-y.
Science-y?
Yeah, so I think what I'm envisioning is when you first start, you're looking at basically test tubes or something like that, right? Maybe you've got bubbles floating up and things of that nature. So you've got a laboratory of sorts. So lab environment, lab environment, beginning player to connect puzzle pieces, DNA strands. Yeah. So if the player is beginning, I want to do a little bit of randomization, right? So they're going to be able to pick things like player should pick visual attributes, to be sure. Player should answer some questions for other semi-randomized perks. Yep. The video game is going to be semi-roguelike. So what do I mean by this? I love the idea of roguelikes. I love roguelike games. So for this game, we're going to have a space station or a asteroid station that will serve as the home port for that I don't want to say session because it will last longer than a session. So my thoughts are that this is the mechanic that will give the ability to keep sending ships out, right? So this is the reason that you can send a ship off and it dies. Oh, that's sad. Well, let's make another ship. Send another ship off. But depending on the difficulty that the player selects, I want it to be possible for this to actually be destroyed, which means they lose all progress completely and they have to...
Are we doing a Bennett party?
Are we what?
Doing a Bennett party?
I don't know what that is. What is that?
A guy in a cauldron with a sledgehammer.
Don't know what that is.
Getting over it. Getting over it. You don't know this game, do you?
No. No idea. So let me provide some more context here. So different difficulty levels. The highest would allow the destruction of the starting point. And would result in the player losing all progress. So semi-roguelike. The starting point allows the accumulation of progress. So this is where, and we'll do a little bit different things here. So this is the space station or asteroid station or whatever the starting point is. This is going to be if the ships are able to bring back blueprints or additional technologies that they have themselves researched or uncovered or discovered, then this starting point, any future ships that they create will have access to those technologies. This is where ships will bring back any new knowledge, such as blueprints or anything research. We should also make the starting point also something that is able to do something. So the starting point should be able to research things slowly while the player while the player is playing. So it would be much slower, but the research station or asteroid station or whatever the starting point is, should have some positive influence. And we should be able to modify, player should be able to modify and influence what the starting point is doing. And rate of progress. Yeah, so the game is going to be sci-fi based, but not, so it's not going to be fantasy based, there's not going to be any magic, zero magic. But that does not mean that we won't have things like creatures in space. It is theoretically possible. So we will, so the space station, so this is going to, so this is going to be what we're starting with. So I would like so questions, the starting question, actually let's put this up here. So starting questions will determine type of starting point. As well as starting ship. Technology tree and other things. Oh, yeah. So some other things we're going to be doing. So we have breeding here, but we want more than just breeding. We want the ability to create life. Not create life, we're going to say seed planets. Planets, no, we're not even going to say planets, we're going to say celestial objects with life, including space-based life. So, so depending on the randomization, we should have okay, so this is the game design document. So there are 3 possible starts for the universe. Possible starts to the game universe. One, No other life in the universe. 2. Semi-populated. 3. Full of life. The universe is full of life. So these are the 3 possible options. Oh, time. Time needs to play a huge role in this game. Time. Needs to play a role. In game time, and also real time. So in a universe with no other life, so the player will have the ability and opportunity to seed life in the galaxy or in the universe. Player can seed life. So the player can always seed life in any of these things, but if life is already dominant, it will probably get crushed. So that means, yeah, so we need to make a basic food chains, right? So we're not going to have life that just exists. You're not going to go to a planet and say, oh, this planet has blah life. We should make some kind of food chain system so that it doesn't need to make perfect sense, but it should at least be passable, right? So food chain systems for life. What does the life eat? Does the life eat other life? What does that life eat? Etc., etc., etc. So this is where, yeah. So if we were just making a quick, simple game, we could probably bang one out in a weekend. And it might be super fun for some people to play. But I'm making this game for me to play. So there's going to be some complexities. Fortunately, most of this design is going to be just variables. So the codes can still be very small. The amount of space that we have to work with is going to be taken up mostly by audio assets. Oh, we should probably talk about what assets are. So assets are audio or visual. So audio is easy, right? Sounds, whatever sounds or sound effects you have. Visual is a little bit more challenging. So in a 2D top-down game, we're going to be working with what are mostly sprites, what are called sprites, which are little pictures that move around. And to create, say, a simple movement animation, you would have typically four to 8 sprites to represent the character, the avatar. And that just shows movement, right? That tricks the brain into showing that or thinking that it's walking or running or whatever. But most of the space for a video game is taken by the audio, with the second largest chunk being taken by the visual, either pictures or video or whatever. we will be going with a simple approach to visual.
For mom and dad's actually we're going to take a simple approach. We're not going to have audio.
No, you have to have audio. Oh, actually, that reminds me. We need a tool for audio. There are a few tools. There's also some AI that will generate audio. We might be using one of those, or I might just go old school and just take a recorder out into the world and make my own sound effects. We'll see how that goes. So tools, audio, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to use right now.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll
find out eventually.
Figure that out as we go. So yeah, so don't worry about the complexity of the game. As long as we're keeping the audio effects and the visual effects to, I don't want to say a minimum, but to smaller file sizes is how I will say that. The rest of the game, no matter how complex, should be just fine. Text does not take space. It is the other things that take space. So we want food chain systems for life. We want things to change over time. This is both playtime and real time. So what do I mean by things change over time? We want the emergence, the natural emergence of life and intelligent life possible, should be possible over time. Randomize stats, etc. So this will make it so even if the player starts in a no life universe, they are the only life forms in that universe. Over time, the universe should generate its own life.
Should.
Well, I'm going to leave it up to a random chance, right? So there is a percentage. A lot of you have probably heard about the. There's an equation, a very famous equation. For the chance of life.
Life to exist. The Fermi's paradox, I think it is.
Yeah, it is the Fermi's, or it's actually the Drake equation, but yes. The Drake equation is part of the Fermi's paradox. And the equation itself looks a little something like this. Let me grab it.
The ingredients of life are literally everywhere. We should be seeing more of it.
Well, that's the Fermi paradox. That's not the Drake equation. So the Drake equation is let me put this up here. So the Drake equation is intelligent life. The Fermi paradox is the fact that this equation says that we should have life. So why don't we have life? So that is the paradox part, right? This equation says that we should have life, but we don't see it.
Life should be plentiful everywhere.
Right. So the paradox part is, well, why doesn't this exist? And there's a variety of possibilities. Anything from, well, you are in fact the first, to there's some big bad scary that will wipe you out one way or the other, right? So yeah, let me get this. And this equation is fun for, just idly thinking. Doesn't make any difference one way or the other. But let me put it up here in the inspiration. Why not? So the pair or the equation life looks something like this. So you can pull up the Drake equation from Wikipedia or anywhere else, and it just says basically n is the number of civilizations in the galaxy with which communication might be possible. So you've got stuff like average rate of star formation. You've got what percentage of those have planets. Then you have what is the number of planets that can support life, right? Then you've got what is the fraction of planets that could support life that actually get life at some point. And then what fraction of those go on to develop intelligent life. And then from there, that civilization or that intelligent life develops the technology that is actually detectable or able to be seen from space. And then we have the length of time for that civilization to be emitting that or to exist. So if you
I
took
think the
this,
speed of light is too slow for us to see any life.
I don't know. Unknown.
That is my thoughts on that.
And I have not delved too much into the hard science of it all to determine, to give any kind of educated conjecture on that topic, but others, feel free to have a go at it. For me, I'm not worried about it. If life exists, fantastic. I think given the amount of stars, my personal thoughts are life certainly exists, just given the numbers involved. We're talking about trillions and trillions and trillions of galaxies, each having billions or trillions of stars within them. Just the numbers themselves would say, yes, life is here somewhere. But
Somewhere. We just don't know where yet.
right, we're having a hard time getting to the moon, so yeah, we're a little ahead of ourselves before we start thinking about visiting other solar systems or anything like that. We should revisit the topic more seriously as a species
That's not going to happen.
once
you know
we
that.
once we can reliably, I don't know, go to the moon or the planet next to us. As far as distances go for at the side, scales of the universe, this is literally, I would not even going to say next door. This would be like moving your hand to the left 2 inches. So once we can, do stuff like that, we should revisit this. But I digress. So we want this game to change over time. What this means is we want the emergence, the random rise and fall as RNG determines. Random rise and fall of life, intelligent life, civilizations, and more. So we know, generally speaking, the rough components of what creates life. So what I will do is I will create a very similar formula to what the Drake equation is. And it just says, here's the requirements for life. And in this game, just so we are clear, life is simply in reality, it's a collection of amino acids that happen to get together, and that's how it started. We're not going to go that granular in this game. We're just going to say life will require a food source. That food source can be other life. But before that, when you have zero life, the food source is going to be radiation. Either that radiation is from something like a star, like a sun. Maybe everyone doesn't know. So actually, we don't even want to say the word radiation. We want to say the word energy. So maybe folks don't know this playing along at home. So in this game, in reality, all life is based on the electromagnetic spectrum. So energy. In scientific terms, it is all radiation. Radiation just means energy. And if
there is no such thing as cold.
Lack
of heat.
That is correct. It is the absence of energy. Whether that energy takes a form of a gamma ray or an alpha particle or anything else, that's the nature, the power, the amount of power in that bit of energy.
How we get around fire.
Right. So life will require a food source, i.e. energy. So this could be energy from a star. It could be energy from radioactive isotopes. So, which means we will need to have a variety of, we're going to have to make something like the periodic table. So we will need to make and design a periodic table that makes sense. We could use a real periodic table and just take some creative liberties with it, but I would prefer, let's think about that. So that would be the easy solution, right? Everybody knows what iron is, everybody knows what titanium is, etc., etc. That would be the easy solution. The hard solution would be to come up with our own periodic table. So over here we will put to do or research. Sure. So for the research, and we're going to use periodic table of elements.
Made up or real?
Yep. That is exactly it. Real versus semi-real versus fictional. So a lot so as you can see as we're going along, there is a crazy amount to the design part. A lot of people think that, and it depends on the type of game you're trying to make. If you're trying to just make Flippy Bird version 17,000, you don't need to do any of this. if you're just making some little simple game to just burn time, you don't need to do any of this. But again, I'm designing and building a game I want to play. So and my apologies for this, but there's going to be a lot of complexity, perhaps unnecessary complexity. But this is the game that I want to play. I want to enjoy, and hopefully I want others to enjoy. So yes, so that is
The hope is there.
yeah. So that is why we're going through the lengths that we are going. So back to the design. So we need to figure out. Well, the design at this point, we don't really care. So there's going to be, life will require a food source, i.e. energy, and building blocks. So we know that life will come and go. So we know what possible extinction events exist for life, which means we're going to have planets that are active and planets that are not active. We will, and actually this doesn't even need to be planets. So it is theoretically possible for even asteroids to be active or not active. We will need to have a system like comets or supernova that will spread materials out into the game universe. And we should not say universe, we should actually say galaxy. That puts a better boundary on the expectations. Yeah. So we'll say that this game's happening within a galaxy. Galaxies can contain anywhere from hundreds of billions to trillions of solar systems. So that's plenty of space for this game. So random rise and fall of life, intelligent life, civilizations. So I'll just create an equation saying there's a X percentage chance that life exists on a planet, and then I'll put a timeline. So early life is more vulnerable to things like asteroids, cosmic events. So we should list out the cosmic events. Possible cosmic events. So these are things like solar flares. These are things like supernova. These are things like asteroids. Volcano. So we'll say tectonic activity, i.e. volcanoes. Because this is a video game and we want to have a little bit of fun, possible cosmic events can also be eaten by space-based life, like a space whale. Maybe the space whale decides to eat the planet.
You want a space whale eating planet.
A space whale that eats planets, perhaps. But it doesn't even have to eat the whole thing. Maybe it just eats a little bit, but that is enough
just a nibble.
Right, that is enough to take, to really mess up that planet.
Extinction event, yes.
Right. Collision events. So if a moon or other celestial body crashes into yours, moon crash. So those would be possible extinction events. So, but we should also have the other side, right? Possible cosmic life events. So this would be things like comets. This would be things like asteroids. This would be things like a breeding ground for space. No, we won't even say breeding ground. We'll say space-based life. So maybe a space-based well just happened to shed its skin on the planet. And that was the genesis of the life.
That's one way of doing it. That would crush everything if it's the size of the planet.
Well, this is possible comic life events. What starts the life process? So these are not extinction events. These are life events. So I'm thinking comets because they can drop water. Asteroids because they can also drop water. Both asteroids and comets can also bring different energy sources, building blocks, things like that to a planet, basically delivering material. So some event is bringing material to the planet that actually starts the process of life. So these are things that would not harm the planet as a whole, but would give it basically the necessary starting blocks. So maybe we have a planet that has all of the possible building blocks for life, but it's missing one type of element, or it's missing an energy source. And maybe that energy source is found, maybe space whales have radiation in their skin when they shed their skin. That is the source of the life. So you need both sides of it, right? So you need the equation to say, if one of these happens during this time frame, then it has a percentage of wiping out life. If one of these happen, then it has a chance of starting life. Yeah, so then we have a time, so we'll need to work on the time. So, so I'll need to think about those things. I think that this is a very, 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 very good start. I'm liking it so far. So I think for this session, I think we'll go for another 30 minutes or so. I think this will be the start of this long journey. So what I would like to do for the next session, so next week, I would like to pick one of these topics. So, and we'll just go about it that way. So I would like to start, I don't know, where do you want to start, Tristan?
Start with the ships. You have somewhere to put everything.
The ships?
Station of ships.
Okay, so we're gonna skip past all of the other stuff. We're gonna go to ships.
Hey, you asked for my opinion. If we're going to start anywhere, I think ships is not a bad starting spot. And then we'll add the outside. Start somewhere small.
Okay. We can do that. Okay, so ships, huh? Okay, well, we will work on that next time. For now, let's think about the greater design here. So we're going to have life that rises and falls. We're going to have players that are able to seed life if they have the technology or the knowledge. We're going to have other possible civilizations that will rise and challenge the player. We are going to have so we can also have the fraction or the group that the player starts with. They can also fracture into their own groups. So yep. So we should go up here and do this. So this means player civilization will spread out into the we'll say universe, why not? Universe, spread out into the universe, and eventually break into fractions, into different groups. So this can happen in all of them. So this is determined at the start by the questions, answers. So when the player wants to play, so there'll be a question along the lines of, it won't be phrased exactly this way, but we'll say, do you want to start at the beginning of time or the end of time? Or somewhere in the middle.
The world ends with you.
Right. So do you want to start life?
End it.
Well, not necessarily end it, but yeah. Yep, so yes, we should, Okay, so we've got possible cosmic events. We've got civilizations that rise and fall. Civilizations will have their own personalities. Civilizations, i.e. NPCs, intelligent NPCs, have their own priorities, goals, and priorities. So to keep it relatively simple, we will say that for the design aspect, there will be civilizations. So there will be ant-like civilizations. And this means strict hierarchy, so there's really only one controlling the hive, and that is the queen or the king or whatever. Only one.
Hive mind.
Right. Means only control by the hive mind. There will be so what we'll say, not ant-like civilizations, we will say hive mind civilizations. There will be other civilizations that are more of a council, so they're they're not hive minds, but they would be, we'll say council. And then there will be just then we can have individual.
Sure.
And semi-individual. And individual. These last ones are going to be the hardest. So hive mind is easy, right? You take the personality matrix and you apply it to the hive mind, and that is the goal for the entire species. We should do, so there are personality matrix that exist, but what I'm going to do is create a basic personality matrix, but then I'm going to make it slightly more in depth. So we're going to times of plenty. So we're going to say that there are aspects, right? So there's the personality matrix, but then there is a aspect of plenty. So what does this personality act like when there are no, pressing dangers? What is the just default behavior? Then there is aspect of, so we'll do 3. So that'll be aspect of plenty, meaning things are going well, there's no big negatives for the personality. Then there will be a of normal. So this aspect of normal is just what is the normal behavior. Then there will be aspect of danger. And this is, how does this personality act if they are being threatened, if things are going badly, if they're losing? Do they just, become desperate? Do they try to make deals? Do they try to trick?
Fight or flight.
Kind of fight or flight. What are they trying to do, right? What is the goal?
I view it as fight and flight.
Yeah, that would be a good breakdown. But there's also a little bit more to it, right? So maybe instead of fighting or flighting, maybe they try bribing or trying to get others to fight for them or to protect them.
Flight or flee.
Well, it would
Fight,
be
fight or flee.
it would be fight, flight, or the third one would be something of
Diplomacy.
coercion, I would say. Either they try to coerce someone to protect them or to stop fighting them or whatever. So there would be the 3. So this is, so and once we have the personality matrix worked out, then hive mind is easy, right? So then you have the entire civilization behaves following this personality. The council civilizations gets a bit more complex, right? So you're going to have a number of different people that maybe you have 5 council members that rule the civilization. So then you would have a personality matrix for each of those, and then you would have to run the numbers on how they interact, right? Who is currently dominant, who is going to vote for things, whatever. And how
And
do
vote.
right. So the council civilization will be slightly more complex. Individual civilizations, I would say, are basically humans, right? Everybody can do their own thing. And that one would get crazy, so you wouldn't really have a civilization as such. They might have the same colors, right? The same logos and
Gold.
stuff, but everybody's got their own thing going on. And then the semi-individual would be basically civilizations that are run, we won't say semi-individual, we'll say corporate civilizations. So these are not council civilizations. These are civilizations that have large corporations that are vying for their attentions. I guess it could actually be. So let's remove this because council. So it would basically be a type of council or yeah. So we'll just make it simpler and just say hive mind civilizations, council civilizations, and individual civilizations. Individualized. Whatever. So these are the different types of civilizations that could exist. Need to work out a personality matrix and how they interact. This is all just math, by the way. So, yeah. All of these are just percentage chance things. So this is just all a bunch of math. I'm not worried about that. Testing it will be a little fun, but we're so far from that. That's okay.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually.
We will get there eventually. So, cosmic life events, civilizations, personality matrix. So if we're going to start with ships next time, that means we need to start looking at. So what many designers will do is they will look to nature for inspiration. Insects are a favorite because there are so many varied and wild just designs for insects in life, in reality. If you ever get bored, go start just looking at different types of insects and what they look like and everything else. It's crazy. There are a lot of them. And if you get bored there, go look at types of plants. Also crazy numbers and just patterns. It gets silly, honestly. Yeah. For anyone that's never done any serious investigation into the various types of life on our little reality of Earth here, yeah, I highly recommend it. You're gonna be surprised, I think. But we digress. So we've got a personality matrix to go with the civilizations. We've got extinction events. We've got life events. We've got food sources, building blocks. We've got rise and fall. We've got time. Time will play into it, both playtime and real time. We've got food chain systems for life. We've got 3 possible game universes to start in. We've got research. We've got technology. Oh. So we've got a few different things. So I think, so if we're going to be starting on ship design next week, that means this week I'm going to need to put some serious thought into the elements. So are we going to, what is the periodic table of elements going to be like? Are we going to make a new one? Or are we going to use a real one? Or are we going to slightly modify the real one, so semi-real?
I mean, we could start with the real one. If we are doing something that's exploring a galaxy, there's going to be things we just simply have not found. that will have to give a name.
Well, I think it's better to go with fictional.
It would still technically be fictional.
Right. So I'm thinking we go fictional. So we don't need to research that anymore. We need to put this over here and say make a fictional periodic table of elements. Okay. I can do that. That's not a problem. So, yeah. Can do. Then we will have some idea of the ship designs. So, ship designs are going to be categories. So, it's either going to be a small, well, actually it comes into ship. So, ship designs. There are two main branches here. There are living. So this would not be. Well, this would be a living ship. So there's actually three. Life form, not form, and artificial construct. Artificial ship. So those would be the three main designs, right? So either you have a life form that is just straight up a life form, like a space well or whatever. Life form. Then you have a living ship. So this is a ship that, for all intents and purposes, has a symbiotic relationship with creatures that live inside of it.
Like mini parasites.
Well, so a parasite is, by definition, not a symbiotic relationship. It is a parasitic relationship. But yes. So it would have a. Well, I guess it could. It could have. So it could have either a symbiotic relationship, a kind of a, what is the, I forgot the term, parasitic,
Or symbiotic.
Parasitic relationship. So a symbiotic relationship, a parasitic relationship, or there's another one that I forgot where I forgot the word. It's basically nothing. They're just whatever.
They simply exist next to each other.
Right. That it is not symbiotic. So symbiotic means they both get something from the deal, right? They're both benefiting from this relationship. Parasitic is not that. So one is benefiting while the other is suffering. Something is being taken from them. And then the third one, which I don't remember. So for the game, we're just gonna say symbiotic or parasitic. We'll make it simpler. Either it is beneficial to both of them, or it is not. Here is a fun fact. Technically speaking, when a woman is pregnant, she actually has a parasitic relationship. The baby is pulling a bunch of nutrients and energy from the mother, and giving literally nothing back. That is technically a parasitic relationship. There's a fun fact for you. So the ship designs, we're going to have either life forms, and I don't think I want to look at necessarily whales for that inspiration. It'll have to be a fish of some type, or fish-like thing of some type, but I don't want to go with whales. And the reason I don't want to go with whales is because whales are mammals. They need to actually breathe. There is nothing to breathe in the vacuum of space.
So they breathe in nothing.
Right, but that's why I don't like that comparison. I don't know where that trope started, that I don't like it.
Couldn't we have a form of living rock?
We could, but right now we're talking about ship designs. So, what does it look like?
A floating asteroid?
So, but that doesn't say how it moves or anything. That just, it floats there. It also is not streamlined like you would be for movement. So in order to move through a medium, even if that medium is devoid of space, you need some propulsion mechanism. That's why I would look at fish for inspiration on what.
I mean, I'm not even sure if I'd go with fish then.
Space.
Because if you want propulsion, space is large. Absurdly large. Flapping a little fin would have to go a little bit faster than the speed of light to reach functionally anywhere within a lifetime.
That's true. That is true. Flapping a fin implies that there is something that they are pushing against to provide propulsion.
So that's where my idea, or your idea of the fish sort of falls off.
Not entirely. But you make a good point. So something that does exist in space is,
Like, space, I understand the definition of space is there's nothing there, but there are particles there. Just very few.
Oh, right, no. Actually, it's not even, it's actually octopus, squid, terrifying. Actually, there is quite a bit of stuff in space. So there are solar winds. In reality, there are solar winds that come from the sun. It is just the pulse and pull of energy from plasma. It's actually plasma from the sun. So yeah, it's actually quite fascinating. I recommend researching it. So you are correct. So space-based life would not be fish-like so much as kite-like or something like that. So they could use the solar winds to navigate around and move around. So this is going to be something like kite or similar looking. So I need to go look at life forms that look like kites or have that kind of membrane.
Are we going pterodactyl?
No, no, because those have wings. So we're looking
Yes.
we're looking for something that has sails. Is what we're looking for. A manta ray, but a manta ray has functionally wings for all intents and purposes. We're looking for animals that have cell-like structures, like ship cell-like structures. So animals that have cells. So what has cells? So things like jellyfish would be actually a good fit because they just float around, so they could just be pushed by the solar winds, but they don't have any like directional capabilities. So I'll have to do some research on what types of life. I know that there are spiders that will put together a little, almost a bubble of
Let's
web.
get across water.
Well, they're using the surface tension of the water. That's what they're doing. But there are spiders that actually, when they're born, they will create a little bubble using webs, and then they will float off into the air using that. So there is that. So I'm going to need to go look at life that has membranes for catching. Yeah, so I'll need to do some research there, but that would be, yeah, I think that will be a perfect thing. Also, welcome Mother Trucker 9 or Mother Tucker 9. I don't know if you were here at the beginning of the stream, but for the streams on Saturday night for those of you in the United States, or Sunday for those of you not in the United States, I've decided to do a game development stream. And the purpose for this is mainly because I want to finish my game and build it. And this will kind of force that. Of course, the other reasons are that I always wanted to make a game. So, yeah. Unfortunately, the stream is ending in 4 minutes or so, so my apologies for that. But we will be back next week, and we're going to be working on ship designs next week. So that is what Tristan wants to work on next week. So next week, the next stream, we'll be working on these ship designs, and we'll be going through the exact process we're going through now. I'll do a little bit of research before the next stream so that we have some ideas of what life forms in space might look like. Oh, I thank you. Very excited for you to join. Hopefully you'll provide some comments. We're hoping to get a lot of thoughts from everyone as we go through this process. So next time we'll talk about life forms in space. We'll also talk about living ships, what those might look like. And then of course we can talk about artificial ships and what those might look like. So yeah, I think that is, so my to-dos are to research life forms with kite or similar looking, something that would be able to navigate solar winds. So space has a few things. So in space you're looking at solar winds, you're looking at gamma rays, in reality it's called a heliosphere. So that is once our solar system is actually within a heliosphere of our sun. So the sun is pushing out this plasma, which is the solar winds plasma. And it's actually protecting, in large part, our solar system from gamma rays from other galaxies and other celestial events. And it's interesting. I recommend everyone go read the findings from the probes that we launched in the 70s that have actually gone past the heliosphere. Highly recommended. It's a fun time reading that stuff. Anyway, I digress. So ways that a life form whether it be a living ship or a life form itself, could navigate within a solar system or in the medium between solar systems. So they would be basically going off of gamma rays or plasma is the medium they would be working in. NASA, in reality, NASA has many designs for ships or probes or satellites that can use giant solar cells to move around. So that's actually based in reality. So we will investigate this. I'll do some investigation before the next stream, and we will go from there. But thanks everyone for joining us on this new topic. Tomorrow is an off day, and the next day is an off day. Series, sure. Series maybe. So it's not the normal video game series. We might have a bonus video game series a little bit later today, but I don't think so. So we will see everyone here in Twitchland in 3 days. So that would be, for those of you that would, in the United States, I think that is Tuesday, I think, for those of you in the United States. For those of you outside of the United States, that will be Wednesday, will be the next stream. And that will be, of course, we'll be going back to Elder Scrolls Online, and we will continue that adventure. I might build my Necromancer, either that stream or the stream after. We'll see. But thanks everyone. Hope everyone has a fantastic day, night, morning, evening, afternoon, whatever you are having. We hope you have a fantastic one. And we will see you then. Bye-bye everyone. Bye-bye.